at some point. But I thought that there could be some form of, some semblance of normalcy. You see, let me quote my brother Chishimba Kambwe, Alenso ni evuntu. Some things kuiwelamo, you don't do certain things. But here it is. It happened. I was informed about this national conference on Thursday at 16 hours that we are having a national conference on Saturday. Really? No, okay. How possible is it? I mean, tell me, Ambassador, have you ever seen a national conference of a political party being announced 48 hours before it happens? So, these are the questions that we must ask ourselves. When a country is under such challenge like we are facing, should we really be investing so much time in political debates of no real benefit to the people of this country? If we are to differ, let us differ, but let us differ on substantive issues that affect the lives of our people. There's so much poverty in this country. 72% of Zambian people live now under extreme poverty. In 2022, when they took over power, UPND, it was 60% of Zambians that were living under extreme poverty, and that was 12 million Zambians. 4 years later, that has risen by 3 points. That has risen by 12%, from 60% of the population to 72% of the population. Now we have 15.6 million people living under extreme poverty, meaning UPND has consigned 3.6 million Zambians to extreme poverty. What are we supposed to be sitting and discussing? No, it's not this. It's sad what's happening on our political scene in this country. Very sad. Very sad. So we can do better as a country. We have bigger issues. We've got bigger fish to fry. But we are investing our time and effort in things and issues that least benefit our people. For me, that is a sad development. So, Ambassador, this is where we are. And we pray that one day God will answer our prayer and reinstitute normalcy in our political system, away from this brutality, a Mingalato-driven governance system. How do you announce a conference on Thursday? And how do you announce that conference? Without appointment, you barge into somebody's house. You ask them, so, but how did you finance this? Ambassador, that's where we are. Isha Shala will see, the rest will
okay,
talk about.
Wonderful. Let's get back.
I think
let's get back to let's back to the big issue. The last time you were here, you are just you are just been incorporated a leader of the People's Party, and you've now crafted the manifesto. You now have policies that you think can help Zambia. What do you think we've done wrong in the last 60 years, and what can be done better? What are you proposing differently, and where do you, in your diagnosis, think we went wrong, where we are now where we are? Let me hear your thoughts.
Losing you, there was some disruption in the sound, especially at the beginning.
Okay, thank you. Let me repeat. The last 60 years, what have we done wrong? Why are, for example, Zambians saying this requires a second emancipation? What have we done right? What have we done wrong? What is your party proposing differently?
Ambassador, that is a very important question. I must admit, and I'm seeing it at this hour in our nation's history, in the 21st century, that we are ready and willing to elect a leadership which has not defined its vision. We want to elect a leadership based on mob psychology. This is what we're doing here. I'm hearing people throwing names around. So we're ending up electing people to high office, people we don't know. We are ending up electing people to high office who in their lifetime have never shown any sign of concern or love or paying attention to the needs of the country, to the needs of the people, or to the needs of our community. No record whatsoever. What we have done as a people is allow a situation where anyone can rise to the highest office simply by one, having a smart tongue, a smooth tongue, two, lying, literally lying, knowing they're lying, and they will communicate a lie. We buy the lie and we believe it. Thirdly, we vote for a slogan of no meaning. X will fix it. Fix what? With what? Who? We don't ask those questions. We don't ask those questions. And then we go allulating by public acclamation, hey, this is, sorry, but what is this person bringing? Now, check his past. What has he done to show that he cares for Zambia? He could be very rich, very wealthy. But you see, a good friend of mine once said, you see, when you say, oh, no, that one, he has money. He has money, so he's a businessman. He can, my friend said, yes, but ningombe shakwe. Teshesu. Takatwaka nyeko shire ngombe. Those cows are his. They are not yours. He will never share those cows with us. He will never share those cows with us. Where has he shared those cows before? To show that he cares for the community, that he cares for the people beyond himself. We have been rather lax on that front. We've been very lax on that front. I think that's where we've gone wrong. And then we have not demanded a clear vision from those who aspire for our leadership. We have not demanded CVs. Let me give you an example, Ambassador. If you are employing a garden boy or a garden minder for your house, you demand a CV from them. Where have you worked before as a garden person? Can you show us which places you have maintained? When you are employing a driver, you will ask them, produce your driver's license, produce your NRC, produce your CV where you have worked and how many years you have worked. But when that driver makes a mistake on the job, he will only affect you alone. He will only affect one person, which would be first himself. He may kill himself with that car, or at the worst, he may kill you. But we have this driver we employ and do not demand specific qualifications. But when this driver underperforms, he will affect how many millions of people? 22 million. The driver we have now has made 3.6 million people graduate into extreme poverty within a period of 4 years. This is where we have gone wrong.
What are you proposing?
I am proposing that we must be very strict on the criteria we use to choose our national leadership, especially at the level of the presidency. We must demand experience in government. You do not want a president who will arrive today and take 2 years to learn the job. The presidency is not a small job. It's not a job you can do from nowhere. You have to learn. There are systems, there are rules, there are procedures, there are laws, there is the Constitution. We must demand previous exposure. A person has never even been a councillor. Some of them have never even been a class captain in a classroom. You just get up from your small consultancy, you want to be president of the republic? No. We can do better, Ambassador. We can do a hell lot better. So I'm proposing that whoever is aspiring for office must have experience in government, must show in their private life a concern for the community, a concern for the country in things that they have done. They must demonstrate that they have taken private initiatives using their personal resources to empower other people or to make other people's lives better. That is what I'm proposing. Strict criteria must be employed.
The job of a president, I think a lot of people misunderstand what the job of a president means. That's why you are saying anyone now can aspire to be president. You worked with presidents from Dr. Frederick Chiluba, Levi Mwanawasa. You've worked throughout, and in the last session, you're a member of parliament for Chembe in Luapula province. What do you think should be the job of a president? What qualities or qualifications should a president have and be? And why do you think you are one of those that is suitably qualified for that job?
Ambassador, yeah. I come from a background, like you have said, rich background. Zambia has had has had 7 presidents. Out of the 7 presidents, I have worked with 5. 2 of them inside State House. 5 out of 7. And one of the 2 that I have not worked with, I used to have several sessions of discussion with him, the founding father of this republic, on the direction the country were going and where it should be heading. In terms of where am I coming from, why do I think I should aspire for that office? Well, on the academic front, I'm an Oxford scholar, I'm a Rhodes scholar, and I have postgraduate degrees in management, an MPhil in management studies from the University of Oxford, a PhD in management studies from the University of America. I am trained as a transitional economist. I am Economic Freedom Fellow of Georgetown University in Washington, D.C. And by the way, let me mention this, I'm the only transitional economist on the continent, and this is why I'm used by the African Union as a consultant to the African Union on matters of economy.
Sorry, Doc, when you say you are a transitional economics, and glad that you're one of our most distinguished scholars in our country, attending some of the world's best universities. When you say you are a transition economist, what do you mean? What does that mean? How different are you, for example, from the other economists?
Economist. You are trained in assessing an economy, particularly looking at the economic structure, seeing what is missing to achieve a certain result that you want to achieve. Devising ways and means to restructure an economy, to develop policies that will address the key constraints of that economy. That is the strongest part of this. The training is not only theory, but practical. And during my training at Georgetown University, I saved 3 attachments, 1 to the IMF, 1 to the World Bank, and 1 to a consultancy in small enterprise development called DAI, Development Alternatives Incorporated in Bethesda, Maryland. So that gives you the tools of analysis and practical experience in managing an economy, especially an economy in distress, an economy which is failing, an economy where the results expected are not functioning. It was designed by Georgetown University specifically to address the needs of the needs of Europe at the time when there was a transition from command, from a command economy to a liberal economy. And most of the students were coming from Eastern Europe, Bulgaria, Poland, Russia, and some from South America, Guatemala. Those are my classmates. In my year, I was the only African. In the year before, there was a Ugandan. Unfortunately, may his soul rest in peace. We lost him some 10 years back, yes, from Uganda. So that is the difference. And I had a rare opportunity during that time to be connected to be trained by one of the most distinguished scholars. Professor Jeffrey Sachs was one of my lecturers at Georgetown. So in addition to that, you know, I studied at the University of Zambia, graduated in 1993 with a distinction, and I was awarded as the best all-round student in the School of Humanities and Social Sciences at the graduation ceremony on 4th November 1983. And I have had international exposure on charity work by having been selected as a Rotary International Group Study Exchange Team for 1988. So on the academic side and experiential side, I have good credentials. Ambassador, as you probably know, I have left my fingerprint on this country. That's why I was talking about structuring the economy. I have left my fingerprint on this country. I have been responsible for the development of a lot of institutions in this country. First and foremost, when President Chiluba appointed his first cabinet on 7th November 1991, he appointed his vice president, Levi Mwanawasa. He appointed full cabinet. He appointed deputy ministers. He appointed provincial ministers. He appointed only one civil servant, and that happened to be myself, as senior private secretary to the vice president. At that time, Ambassador, you will recall, there was nothing called office of the vice president. So my appointment meant, and I was told, to set up the office of the vice president. Before was the office of the prime minister. So I walked into that office with Vice President Levi Mwanawasa and met a gentleman called Richard Chijuka, who had been the senior private secretary to the prime minister before. And him and I started working now to establish an office of the vice president, define its new roles, its systems, its relationship with State House, its relationship with cabinet office. And we were guided. By today, Emmanuel is living now by Mr. Leslie Mbula. Many of you know this man. So that is part of the work that I did. During that time, we faced a major drought. You may recall, Ambassador, we saved a major drought. And the responsibility for disaster management fell on the shoulders of the vice president. So that meant it fell on my shoulders. So I was working with the Ministry of Agriculture with a gentleman called A.K. Banda. I was working with Honorable Dr. Boniface Kawimbe, who was Minister of Health. I was working with a Mrs. Frida Luhila, who was Director of the Program Against Malnutrition, PAM. We're working closely with Minister of Agriculture, Dr. Guy Scott, to respond to the disaster that was happening, to be responsible, to be in time to distribute relief food. That's how we started the program for relief food. We started programs such as Food for Work. Some people are claiming that they are the ones who have started Food for Work. It was there in 1992, 91, 92. And I worked on it. So that is when I said to the Vice President, Mr. Vice President, it is very difficult to run a major program like this on an ad hoc basis with a team that is not full-time sitting together, planning together. I suggest we set up an institution that will have experienced staff, trained staff in disaster response, disaster mitigation, even disaster preparedness. The Vice President asked me, but how can we do that? Can we? I said, yes, we can get help. And he told me to proceed. I wrote a letter to a Mr. Yucha, who was that time the UNDP resident representative. The response was amazing. He asked us to produce the budget. Great. So that meant we needed now to have cabinet approval. So President Mwanawasa called the disaster committee comprising ministers. They agreed with the concept. Cabinet memo was prepared. Cabinet fully approved it. DMMU was formed. At that time, I was the one responsible for writing all the speeches for the Vice President, Mwanawasa. After that, in 1993, I was moved to the Ministry of Commerce, Trade and Industry as Director of Industry. I worked on developing the first industrial policy of this country. And an industrial policy conference was held at Mulungushi Conference Center. I think it was from 4 to 6 June 1994. And it was opened by President Chiluba. At the time, we were working on the liberalization of the economy, which meant opening up trade. So we had an influx of imported consumer goods. What was the effect of that? Was to take a lot of our industrial companies out of business. So I went to my minister. I still call him the only minister of commerce that I know. I went to my minister, Deepak Patel. Minister, yes, we're doing well, we're liberalizing, things are changing, but the effect is being negative. Our companies are closing. Productivity is dropping in the country. Jobs are being lost. Sebastian, what are you saying? I said, we need to get the supply response of the economy to jot up. What do you suggest? I said, we need to have a fund, because right now, at that time, the interest rates were well in excess of 70%. No one can borrow at 70% invest in a venture. Impossible. So we need to get funds, special funds, that would put at the Bank of Zambia, which the commercial banks can access, to lend money to their clients in the productive sector. He told me, go ahead. I went to the Bank of Zambia. I met a gentleman, I went to the World Bank when they came on mission. I told them this is what Zambia needs, this is what we need. And the gentleman, there were two gentlemen. Leader of mission was a guy called John Todd. He was in a company of a gentleman called Uche Mbanevo, a Nigerian, at the World Bank. I presented that. And they said, yes, that made sense. We had to do that. And we got $45 million, which was called an Apex Fund, and it was at the Bank of Zambia. I worked as chairman of several boards of parastatals, Kapiri Glass, Kashiwe Textiles, and many others. I was appointed permanent secretary for the ministry without portfolio. There was no ministry without portfolio. There used to be before, when General Mianda occupied the office. But when he was appointed vice president, the ministry was closed. Mr. Michael Sata was appointed minister without portfolio on 29th May 1995. On 30th May 1995, I was appointed permanent secretary. There was no building, there were no offices, there was no one. There were only two members of staff, the minister and this permanent secretary. Not even a building. I went secretary to the cabinet, Aldridge Adamson. I said to him, sorry, but where am I going to put this ministry? He said, Sebastian, sorry, I feel sorry for you. But look, I'll give you the mandate. Find a government office, building one, we'll give it to you. I was in the Ministry of Commerce, in the Kwacha House Annex. There was a building next door called where ZCF used to be. There were 2 floors there. I went to, it was given to me. I started from zero, establishing the office of the minister without portfolio. From zero. I've built an office of the vice president. I have built a ministry, a functioning ministry. Under the guidance, once again, of the Deputy Secretary to the Cabinet, then Mr. Leslie Mbula. I then went to State House. With President Frederick Chiluba. In fact, before I went to State House, after the elections of 1996, I wrote a letter to President Chiluba, which was 9 pages. When I drafted that letter, I called 2 of my very close friends, Elias Mpondela. Tabula Mfishimi, you know, as far as Mpondela is always with me anyway. But don't victimize him. He's not a member of the People's Party. He's and I called 2 of them. Elias Mpondela and Joe Saracina. I said, guys, this is what I'm thinking. They looked through the letter. They gave it a thumbs up. I issued. President Chiluba called me as he was reading the letter. He says, Mwachawanda, I'm reading this letter. I'll come back to you. I am just reading it now. I love it. I'll come back to you. Ambassador, you saw the letter he wrote me afterwards. In response, a letter dated 18th December 1996. Ambassador, you remember there was, in October 2003, a conference called the National Endeavor. I conceptualized that because at that time, after President Levi Mwanawasa came into government, he came in on an extreme minority, 29% of the vote. I said to him, we need to bring the nation together to agree on the direction that we are taking the country. So a national endeavor was called at Mulungushi. I prepared the speech for the president. At that national endeavor, I was appointed vice chairman. The chairman was late Ambassador Steke Mwale. I was vice chairman and director of ceremonies, director of programs. The national endeavor took place. Sadly, after that, shortly after that, I got into the accident, and that's when I lost my arm, shortly after that. After that, I went to President Mwanawasa. After I came back from from hospital, he appointed me to State House as Special Assistant, Special Duties. I went to him, I said, we are building an economy here. We have privatized all our parastatals. Look who has bought the parastatals. No Zambian is playing any role in this economy. We are running a foreign economy in the country. What do you suggest, Sebastian? We got to take a step. We need to establish a Citizens Economic Empowerment Commission. President Mwanawasa in 2005 in July went and announced the establishment of the Citizen Economic Empowerment Commission at Mulungushi Rock of Authority during the MMD convention. Ambassador, you have heard of the Mount Facility Economic Zone policy. I was behind the establishment of that policy and that initiative. Once again, the same suspects and more worked with me to develop that concept. My idea was, we cannot have a trading economy. We need to have a productive economy. Got to have a system which facilitates industrial productivity. So we need to have this thing called Mount Facility Economic Zone, which has special incentives for manufacturing in a specific locality. Same suspect. I called, set up a team. Elias Impondela again. Joe Salasini again. Johnston Chizinga. I've forgotten his first name, Mr. Msiska. He used to be Commissioner General of ZRA. We set up a team. We started thinking through. We prepared the concepts and everything. I finalized writing the policy. I presented to the president. He likes it. Call special cabinet meeting. I asked the secretary to the cabinet to call special cabinet meeting. The day before the cabinet meeting, I called the president, Mr. President, are you ready? Because it's your CAB memo. He says, ready for what? I said, ready for me, ready for you to present your cabinet paper. He says, no. Instead, I'm asking you, are you ready? I said, what do you mean, Mr. President? Said, you are the one presenting. I said, I'm not a member of cabinet. I'm not allowed to present a cabinet paper. He says, no, I've already cleared you with Secretary to the Cabinet, so you can do it. The following day, that same day, I called Chalimba Piri, who was DG of the Zambia Development Agency, and Martinette Mario, who's now Mrs. Sefuke. They sat with me in State House until 01. We prepared a PowerPoint. And I presented before Cabinet the Mount Facility Economic Zone policy. Starting from 9 o'clock to 1 o'clock, it was approved. Today you are seeing Lusaka South Mount Facility Economic Zone.
Thank you. Just to cut you short. The other name you're looking for is Berlin Msiskai, was later Zambia Revenue Authority Commissioner General. But why multi-purpose facility zones? What was the idea? What is behind it? Why do you think they could spur growth? I know it's a big idea in China, but it doesn't seem to have worked here. What did you envision then?
Sorry, regarding the multi-facility economic zone?
Yes, the multi-economic facility zone is a very big thing in China. What did you envision? Why did you want these zones set up?
You see, my whole idea there, Ambassador, was building from my past exposure in the Ministry of Commerce. And if you recall my intervention with the World Bank to give us 45 million, which was to go to the productive sector. But I thought, no, this is this is too small. It's a drop in the ocean. This is a big economy. We need to create a large industrial base, taking advantage of our geopolitical location in the middle of Africa, 8 neighboring countries around, headquarters of COMESA, 19 country members at that time, today 21. We have a market to which we can export duty-free. Let us take advantage, but we can take advantage of this market if we have something to offer on the market. And to have something to offer on the market, you got to produce it. And to produce it, you got to have manufacturing to add value to your raw materials. Hence, that was the concept. So the vision was, let Zambia be the manufacturing hub of Southern Africa, because we are naturally well positioned to do that. We are naturally positioned to be the hub of trade, to be the hub of manufacturing, to be the hub of the Southern African transport, railway system, airline systems. All that is in my manifesto. 356 pages. Zambia has a problem, and Zambia's problems are detailed. There can be no shortcut. If you come to me today and say you are going to solve Zambia's problems on 2 pages, I have a problem. I'll ask you a very serious question.
Wonderful.
So Your Excellency,
Zambia's
that
problem
was the vision.
Well known. Look, our country has now over 64% of our own population living in extreme poverty. The youth unemployment is our biggest crisis, where you have these young people willing to work, eligible to work, but can't find work. There is no proper support from government, no support for either entrepreneurship or empowerment schemes. CDF is a disaster. We've never exploited agriculture to its full potential. Its contribution to our GDP is extremely poor. You have the mining sector that produces up to 70-80% of our export, earning revenues of $8-9 billion, but very little trickle to our treasury and to our Ministry of Finance. What are your solutions? Begin to speak to the major sectors. let's take, for example, mining. What are your thoughts about mining, and how can we ensure that this family silver can benefit our country? Let's start with mining. We touch on agriculture, and we touch on O2, maybe trade and others, and industrialization, before we begin to invite our callers to participate.
Ambassador, you talk about mining. Yes. Mining, Your Excellency, is one sector within and around an economic ecosystem in the country. So my approach is this. First, who is playing in the mining sector? It's foreign investment. Is it possible for a Zambian at present to own a mine, invest in a mine, and operate at the level of Mopani, KCM, Chambeshi, and the like? The answer is no. And then I ask myself, why is that? The why, Your Excellency, basically falls on one front. The entire economic system of Zambia today is not designed to benefit the Zambian people. No, it is not. You find that mining, they are not real Zambian players. In large-scale commercial agriculture, it is foreign players. So we are running in hotels, big hotels. We are running a foreign economy within our country. But then we must ask ourselves, for me as a transitional economist, these are my questions. What is the purpose of an economic system? Why in an economic system if it is not to benefit your people? We have an economic system here that doesn't benefit our people. Our post-independence government tried through the Mulungushi reforms of 1968. But then today, we have lost it. We have lost it, Ambassador. We are promulgating policies that are transferring Zambian interests to foreign interests. How do you, on your own with your eyes open, even remove the little that Zambians were benefiting from those that were exporting unprocessed mineral products? You remove export duty. You make royalty payments tax deductible. So what is Zambia benefiting from the mining sector? And then the returns that are made from those exports are kept in foreign countries and not here. So our economic system is all designed in such a way that Zambians have no access to capital. They have no access to skills, both business and technical. Zambians have no access to markets, either local or foreign. Zambians have no access to productive infrastructure. Now, the biggest of all these, Ambassador, is the lack of capital. What do we have here? Our banking sector today has no development bank. 15 commercial banks. The maximum they can lend you is 12 months. Now, can you borrow from a commercial bank, Ambassador, and invest in mining? By the time you finish your feasibility studies, it's time to pay back. Shiref Makwi. Chizachoka kuti solipila vazanako, solipila va Standard Chartered, you name them. 12 months they want their money. So we desperately need to develop a totally new financial architecture that will permit growth. I laugh when people tell me about growth. As a transitional economist, I don't believe there is growth here. So our approach is that we must have a sector.
Now, Doc, that is a very powerful statement you've made. The president is touting one of the reasons he should be re-elected. He's saying he has rescheduled debt, although he has borrowed more. He says he has put a country on an economic growth plan, and he says the economy is posting up to 5 to 6%. Inflation is down. They hope that it will be go to a single-digit figure. How do you contrast these proclamations to the actual growth that should take place?
Your Excellency, you see, growth does not come from praise singing. Growth does not come from wishes and dreams and lists. No, growth comes from production. Show me where production is placed. Show me where jobs are being created for the people. Show me where small enterprises are growing and producing. Show me where women are getting involved in the business.
As an economist, Dr. Copeland, explain to me, why is the exchange rate stable, dropped from 28 kwacha now to around 19 kwacha? Why are we posting economic growth of 6.45%, 5.9%? Why are the figures on paper looking good, but the reality on the ground is different? We'll be exporting, the projection is that copper production, since it's a million ton that could have been achieved in 2025, it means we exported copper worth $14 billion. But there appears to be no change. Explain those issues to the ordinary people, because they don't understand these big figures from Ministry of Finance and Bank of Zambia and the president to the reality on the ground.
This is the truth, Ambassador. You see, your economy is growing 6%. When you took office in 2021, extreme poverty in Zambia was 60%. There were 12 million people living under extreme poverty, which means they could only spend less than $2.15 a day. Today, 4 years later, you tell us that numbers don't lie. You're the ones who tell us numbers don't lie. Today, 4 years later, 72% of Zambians are living under extreme poverty. 72%. That means poverty levels have risen by 12%, from 60 to 72 over a period of simply 4 years. In 2022, when you took over, 12 million people were living under extreme poverty. Today, there are 18.6 million people living under extreme poverty. That means you have added, you have consigned 3.6 million people. Tell me, what sort of growth produces a negative standard of living condition. What growth does that? Where there is growth, there must be corresponding improvement in the welfare of the people. That's what I mean. The numbers, the aggregates they give you by whoever create those numbers, let me tell you, they are intended to keep you blinded, to make you think you are doing very well. That is why last week I saw an army of praise singers from Washington, from all over. You are doing very well. We want to commend you, Mr. President, the reforms you have done. What reforms have you done? The reforms you have done in the mining sector has been to take away income from the Zambian. By taking away the little 10% export tax that was there on copper concentrate. You are now exporting copper concentrate and all the other trace elements in that copper concentrate for nothing, for no benefit to the Zambian people. Those are the reforms we have done. Are those reforms benefiting the Zambian people? No, but we are being congratulated. The idea is to congratulate you so that you can be self-conceited, that you are doing very well. Let me tell you, Samora Machel said, when you hear, if one day you hear the West praise me, then you know that I have betrayed you. That's what he told his Mozambican people. This economy requires total re-engineering. That's why I'm saying we must design a totally new financial architecture. And this financial architecture, according to me, has got to focus on development growth. So therefore, in our manifesto, we're saying, one, we're going to establish a national development bank, which will provide long-term finance to all growth sectors across the board. Then we set up a specific sector-focused banks. One, the SME development, small and medium enterprise development bank, which will provide long-term finance for small enterprises. Then we are going to do this by converting NatSave, National Savings and Credit Bank, into a small enterprise development bank. This has been my dream ever since I was Director of Industry in the Ministry of Commerce. We have failed to use NatSave and its capacity, its infrastructure, which is in every district. We have failed to use it to service our people appropriately. We shall transform it and redefine its mandate. Then we are going to set up an export-import bank. We need to get Zambian products into the outside market, both within Africa. Africa has got the African Continental Free Trade Area. It's a huge market of 1.3 billion people, 1.3 billion people. Duty-free exports. So we need to have a bank that will both provide finance and provide export technical support to the enterprises to enter the export market. We are also now going to set up an agricultural development bank. This agricultural development bank will provide finance for long-term capital in the agricultural sector. We'll set up a mining development bank. That mining development bank will provide for Zambians to invest in mining. Then you'll ask me, where are you going to get the money from? I'll get the money from royalty payments. I'll get the money from export taxes on non-processed agricultural mining products. Now, an important part of human life is housing. Where there is no decent housing, there is poverty. We got to kill poverty. And we can only kill poverty by creating wealth. There's no other way. So our strategy of fighting poverty is wealth creation. Hence, we are saying we shall introduce a National Housing Development Bank. This National Housing Development Bank will provide finance to Zambians that are going into real estate development, who are going to work on improving and upgrading our shanty compounds. And we have a plan for that. We have a plan for that, on how that will be done. Then we are going to introduce Islamic banking in Zambia. Islamic banking has not been in Zambia, but it has serious advantages for business growth because it does not demand interest. But the banker takes interest in your profit. When you make profit, the banker makes money. That is how Islamic banking functions. No interest, but profit sharing. We will introduce credit guarantee agents. You see, and we are going to promote rural and community banks. We will support fintech companies. We will support what is being called now Ichirimba or village banking by boosting the reserves of the village banking. We have to deepen financial inclusion. This is absolutely important for Zambians to take part in any wealth creating ventures. So, finance is critical for investment. In this country, there is no money for investing in productivity. There is only money for trading. If I want to import human hair from China, I can go to a bank and borrow. I want to import human hair from China. The container will take 3 weeks to arrive once I wire the money. I've got orders. Okay, I've got orders. And once the container arrives, I need so much to clear through customs. Lend me so much money to pay for my consignment and to clear the customs. After 2 months, I'll pay you back. Within 12 months, you get the money. So this country, as it is now, is a trading country. This is not an investing country. You're telling me the economy is growing when there is no capital formation. There's no capital formation taking place here. When you are telling me you are creating jobs by blotting the civil service, employing people, when Ambassador, when they employed those 40,000 teachers and 11,000, I called one of them, very senior in the office. I said, yeah, congratulations. You have employed 51,000 people. It's a good thing. But I'm sorry, you have not created jobs. You have only employed the people. You haven't created jobs. What this country requires are productive jobs. Tell me, sir, Mr. PS, where have you created a corresponding 41,000 jobs that will create the income to pay the 41,000 teachers and nurses who will depend on the treasury?
Wonderful, wonderful. Good question that Dr. Sebastian Copeland is asking. Dear viewers, we are hosting Dr. Sebastian Copeland is People's Party President. He has just gone to great length to explain his vision. Well, with Dr. Copeland, he's just not an ordinary leader. He's also a technical expert. So if we had to go in details of the mechanics of what he needs to do, you need 3-4 hours. You need 3-4 hours because he just doesn't have ideas. He has ideas how they can be implemented, as he has shown in the trail of his experience, that he has actually set up industries, he has set up institutions, he has set up organizations. So, dear viewers, do you have a question for Dr. Sebastian Copeland? Do you have a question for Dr. Copeland? It's your time to call in. Let's hear your views and questions, and let me hear your questions.
Exception from 2021, I know the time our government increased the disbursement and the amount of CDF in each constituency. What development committees, CDF committees have been submitting projects. And I know that projects submitted in each year are fully budgeted for. But Chairman, is it true that all the projects that our communities, our development committees, the PDCC has been submitted, been done? If not, have we done an audit? Just recently, I was going through from the list a number of projects that were supposed to be implemented, like in our own districts, but which are not. Do we have the money meant for such projects? Who are the enforcers to counter-check on these councils? We've just noticed that when it comes to procurement of vehicles, workshops, travelings, school for our employees, it is done there and then. When it comes to just implementation of community projects, up to date with projects which were approved in 2021, if you just do a thorough investigation, you find that most of the projects in these constituencies have not been done. Even regardless of
CDF is not working, and our people are very annoyed with it, despite the usual public pronouncement. Hello, caller, please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Thank you so much. My name is Robert, calling from Manchester. Wow, so it feels like we're back in school this session today with Dr. Copeland. He's done his presentation very, very well. Very, very impressive. I think I just wanted to add something on the issue. I think you did ask him about the growth situation, because the government keeps on saying that the economy is growing by 6%. Those figures that they come up with, and that the growth on paper. So normally when the economy is growing, people are the ones that will be able to say that things are okay. So there's the type of growth which I think Copeland will explain. It's called elite growth. It's just real in reports, but invisible in lives. So Obama paper in reports is there, but the people cannot see it. It's invisible because they're not getting any benefits. I think for the other thing I wanted to say is to this message is to Dr. Copeland. I'm very aware he's got his own political party, but my word, this man is blessed for our country. And my only advice, because he knows he's an economist and he knows that elections is about numbers, And at the moment, the numbers, of course, for you to win, you really need to make sure that you've got the BF infrastructure or the structures behind you and the people that are there. And for me, I think he will be the best person to work with young Makebi, because the level of wisdom, intelligence, and exposure that he's got, he'll be the best person to group people. And one thing that I see in him, even when I speak to him, is the humility. It's like there's no pride, and he just gives it to you with his experience, and there's no arrogance whatsoever. And all you can do is just learn, because where our country is now, it's in a very bad state, and you will need people that have done big projects, that have corrected mistakes, and he's just given it to us. So I think for me, I think you'll be the perfect person if you add him on Team Makebi, and to just break things down, because this government has destroyed a lot of things, and to come up with all these ideas that have been saying, if that has been telling us today, he will need young people, so that when he says jump, we need to do this. We just have to make sure that we come together as a country. Regarding the opposition, I've seen a lot of people mentioning in the comment section, at this stage, it's very, very difficult for the opposition to come together. But all we could do is pray so that God gives us the wisdom, so that we see clearly who are the right people. Because not everyone in the opposition is the opposition. I'll repeat that. Not everyone who is in the opposition is in the opposition. There are some that are in the opposition, but they are with the ruling party. So let's not be fooled, and try to push for this idea for the opposition to come together, because not everyone who's in the opposition is the opposition.
Thank you, Robam. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
My name is Kefas Mapemsonda, calling you from Kabwe, an advocate for industrialization and national development. We've never spoken this year. Happy 2026 and good evening, Honorable and President Kopalande.
Thank you, Mr. Kefas. Make your contributions.
Thank you very much. As it stands today, we need to get back to putting on a jacket of humbleness, meekness, and working together. We need to go back to where we are saying time has come for people just to forget about their personal ambitions and then make one noble goal, and that noble goal is to redeem the children of Israel from the bondage where they've been in Egypt. What am I trying to say? Even in the Bible, the person that was commissioned to go and redeem the children of Israel was Moses. Moses at one time was in the palace. President Kopalande, you have a rich CV, very rich. However, I do not want to massage you in any way. I'm in Kabwe. I've never heard your structures in Kabwe. All we are saying is that if you people can just come together, I'll give you an example. Kasama, look at the figures. If all those figures that went to the opposition were put together, what could have been the story? The story could have been that the opposition could have retained that seat. But now the opposition is disintegrated, and no one is willing to be humble to an extent of them accepting to be led by someone. I think that spirit is un-Zambian. Look at the spirit that Dr. Kenneth Kaunda had. At one time he said, I think I'm giving up. When we had the Zambia without a president. Why? It's because he saw that we can only develop by working together. As I conclude, Ambassador, even in the Bible it says a two-fold road is better than one. Please, the opposition, work together. Theories and all that which you are preaching unto us, it's not important. What's important to the Zambians is to leave the bondage and then cross the Red Sea and go to the promised land, which is Canaan. And who is going to do that? It is out of meekness and humility. Thank you.
Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Hello, this is Dr. Katonso from Washington.
Dr. Kasonso, make your contribution, sir.
Thank you so much for having me. I've enjoyed listening to Dr. Sebastian Copeland and his proposition and presentation to what the vision of the country is. And this is the drum I have been beating for the last few years, that what we need is a leader who has a vision, who has character, and who has a message for the people. And clearly, of all of them put together, Dr. Sebastian Copeland is the only one with all those three qualities. He's the only one with all those three qualities. The others don't have a message, either they have character or they don't have a vision for the country. When I conducted research on the problems of our country as a researcher and a professor in these United States, I found out that what we needed to do in Zambia was to restructure the economy, reorganize our financial base, and reinvigorate our wealth creation capacity at the personal level, the firm level, and the country level, so that our people can keep more of what they are earning from the global economy. And clearly, Dr. Copeland has a strategy, first of all, for restructuring our economy. We need to change our economy from just importing stuff to at least building some of the things for ourselves. That's part of restructuring the economy, getting some money out of our trading partners. That's restructuring our economy. When he talks about development banks, that is reorganizing our financial base. And what is the target? Is to empower the local Zambian. But the UPND government has turned the country into a den of thieves. The thieves are the people from foreign countries digging our minerals, taking all of our minerals out of the country without taxes. And then when they sell those minerals on the global market, by UPND, I think that we should support Dr. Copeland's candidature. And I think that Dr. Copeland's ideas are the ones that can change and transform the economy. Politics are about money. How much are the Zambians getting out of our economic activities? The numbers that they give us from the UPND, they change every day. Today we have GDP na ikulefi. Today GDP ni wampundu. Today GDP kepita kalekula. You know, if you have fieka. You know, offices ya Zambia, by UPND, we need air freshener there. We need to get them out so that we can put in new people and start afresh. This is a very important year. We cannot do an experiment just because someone is young or someone is coming from there. We need a person with a vision. We need a person with a plan. We need a person with character. And we need a person with a track record. And clearly, Zambia, you have a leader here. What is stopping you from backing this man? Let us back this man. This is the man for Zambia, and there is not even number two to him. Hakainde doesn't have any ideas. He has tried for 5 years. He came with a 10-point plan, but the country is still a mess. Hakainde introduces tribalism in every sphere. Naba commissioner wakapokola bonse. Kwigisha kofi babulu bako beka beka. People in Zambia, people should share. People should share in the economic benefits of their own country, including personal emoluments. If you take personal emoluments and you just award all the controlling jobs to Abatonga, it means that you are not distributing equitably the economic resources of the country. If you take out the minerals out of the country without taxes, but once they are sold out of the country, you will never know mwaisa akanyanenda mwafiti kama mfia vyaba zongu. Tola shimona ifufwewa kwa taxes kuma database. Abalipo ni waka walala. The country need to reset and start afresh. Zambia, don't you kuchina? Don't you kuchina Zambia? Let's go and confront this government and start afresh. We can do better, Zambia. We can do better. 22 million people, sure. No, there's nobody who can take over from HH. No, there is a man who can take over from HH. He has done it. He knows the government system and he knows what needs to be done. Why are we not supporting him?
Thank you, Professor. Thank you, Professor Kasonso, for that passionate plea. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
Thank you, Ambassador Mwamba. Sinyangwediani on the line.
Yes, indeed.
Thank you. My first and foremost, I would say this. Mwebantu as a Zambian, this is 8 months. Let us continue praying for the Lungu family. Whatever is holding the president to keep that body, when we pray as a nation together, we can make a way. Let us continue praying because there is no way. We have now 8 months. We haven't buried our president. Second, I love what Dr. Kaplanda is saying. And I would want the doctor, if today he had time to read an article by Linda Banks. The article by Linda Banks just stipulates where we are today and what we can do to move forward. He's got bright ideas. He's got a very good resume. No one can take that resume away from him. Just like the previous 2 callers, Laban and the other caller from Kawe. What we are asking Dr. Kaplan, Sebastian, among the opposition, like the first caller said, there are some opposition parties, but they are not even opposition. Forget about them. Can you find one person that you can work with? And when you form into government, your expertise and knowledge, doctor, will be well used for the betterment of Zambia. Moneni ishtanai pwa. What we are all calling for is unity. And the Chawama and the Kasama by-election shows us to say that whatever we are going through, it will be with us for the next 5 years. We have the mandate to stop it, and the voice that everyone is crying out to you leaders. Put your egos aside. Let's unite with a purpose. And trust me, as a doctor, with your expertise, you can go to the president who's going to be the new president, not the one that we have to say, morning, if you're for today, you have got a very good, rich CV. No one can take that away from you. Can we start working together? And if we're going to work together, among the leaders, doctor, I'm asking you, who can you work well with? Thank you, and God bless
Thank you, Daniel.
And God bless you, Ambassador Mwamba.
Thank you. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
Hello, good evening. Good evening, Honorable Emmanuel Mwamba. This is Donosco. I'm calling from Italy.
Father Donosco from Italy, make your contributions.
Yes, please. Thank you very much. First and foremost, I have to appreciate and thank. I would like to thank Dr. Copeland, my dear brother. You are always an inspiration to me. You hold history and you have experience. I always appreciate when we have a discussion. I appreciate the experience that you have, the professionality that you have, and in some other ways, the humility that you have. So thank you so much. Mwamba, I come on the platform and Dr. Copeland talked about, I was concerned when the statistics from the Dr. Copeland was showing 70% of poverty level in our country, Zambia. I thought maybe I was wrong. I gave myself, my statistics would indicate 65%. But what Dr. Copeland today has mentioned, 70% of poverty levels in the country. That said, I thought obliged to say, well, you see, Mwamba Copeland in his intervention, I love this man. I like him. He's a matured person. He does not accuse the president as a person. He is accusing the governance of UPND. He's not accusing a president. And so I think in that terms, yes, of course, I side with him. 70% of poverty is terrible. in any country. So we cannot say, when on the other side, the UPND, they say they have accomplished 95% of their program. Okay, we had this from the UPND camp. The government has accomplished 95% of the promises. Then today, Dr. Copeland says, we have 70% of poverty level in our country. That calls for a reflection, a serious reflection. So I would say that we have challenges. We have some challenges in our country. We don't have to hide ourselves. We have some challenges that the UPND government has found it in quite a difficult situation. The reason is they have not fulfilled the many promises that they gave to our country. Allow me, Mwamba, to appreciate also the contribution of Dr. Kasonso. Dr. Kasonso is saying, Zambian people, let's go and look at somebody who has the capacity to understand the disaster we have gone in the country. I appreciate the conversation of Dr. Kasonso and his contribution, but I will say, Mwamba, maybe what we need today, this year, 2026, we need a unifier. But Dr. Kasonso says he is going to support somebody who has something more than Haka in the Chilema. He's right. But then me, myself, I said, there is a division in our country. Not only there is a division, something, I don't know whoever has brought the division, the PF. PF has been united. The PF party I have known. These people, they have been united. And then Democratic Party of Savoyimboela of Chimba Kambedi was united, is divided. The New Era Democratic Party of Pomoros Tumbeko from the United States was united. Now is divided between Pomoros Tumbeko and another person. Who else? Let's go to the UNIP party. They wanted to divide the UNIP party. Where do we go? Let's go to Nevas Mumba's MMD. Nevas Mumba's MMD Bamwamba and all the colleagues, Copeland. Look at this. MMD was united. They are now intending to destroy the name of MMD, to bring in something which has nothing to do with the MMD political party. Now, this looks as if it's a trained to dismantle, divide. In Latin, dividere et impera. Bamwamba, you are a learned person. Now, it's a challenge. Dividere et impera. Dividere to na tsako okay shani push. Na la sukane mwe.
Divided, we fall. I think divide and imperil for me to English.
Yeah. So dividere is to divide, and empress an empire. An empire of whatever my emperors they were so number to divide the people so that you can rule over them. This method is an odd method. Everyone knows. But Mwamba, you know it. But Copeland, my comrade, you know this. And how do we allow in the 21st century to use the same method on us? But PF, they were united. Look at what is happening to the PF. The same theory, dividere et impera. Let the opponent become weak when you divide them. So,
thank you, Father. Thank you.
I conclude by saying, thank you. But Copeland, thank you. But I think our opposition, cool down, sit down, talk, even in your secrecy, talk and listen to what the Zambian people are asking. The Zambian people are asking, they have spoken loudly. Please do not distance yourselves from what the people are speaking. Thank you so much. And thank you, Mwamba. Good night.
Thank you. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from. Good evening, caller. Yes, make your contributions.
Yes, this is Chilando calling you from Lusaka. I've been listening every time, but I haven't contributed for a while now.
Mr. Chilando, make your contributions.
Is that it's very disheartening that there's so much confusion in to be very honest with you, Honorable Copeland and Your Excellency Mwamba, the ground is very fertile for the opposition to take the day, come 13th of August. But see, the problem is our leaders are really disappointing us. You know, why should we have fighting? This one wants to be a president, this one wants to be a president within our own political party. Like the previous caller said, there's divide and rule. And with this divide and rule, for me, it means some people have been paid to, because believe you me, on the ground, you go to Copacabana province, you go to Apula, you saw the elections in Kasama now, even though the victory was stolen. Everywhere you go, Lusaka, you walk in Lusaka, you speak to 10 people. If you speak about the ruling party, what is wrong with our leaders? You know, why can't they come together so that you know we can take the day come 15th of August.
Oh, the line is breaking, my brother. The line is breaking. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from. Good evening, Bamunkonge. Make your contributions quickly.
Okay, Ambassador. Nalala ndafenyo kwebati wa opposition. Awa shuru sana. Ni ababene ba opposition abano. Before PF, ofra ngira kabali wino sana. Ababa no pera example biwasa. Basa tabapangire party 2 months before my elections. After bamazoka basa ona na majini ino. Ishire konga kubata tababutukiri ati babe pamuru washira mokuta advise bamazo kuko basharire noti basato kuibika pamuru balishwa kwa bati uri mupepi ni mazoka to ali ambo bashita advise babe baoke petition katireke katwesho kubombesha pakwa bati ipekanya ma elections arese nomba ba opposition yabo no ba inonshita balishwa na problem ya babuli ba PF ukubomba na ba PF tekweba chikanwa sign and lands iwanga no opposition y'umunono naho kwatama kaya kwa katinga wa alanda ukuchita ko defender mu barabari handa na leadership ni shamoneka ifuta mura sign and film so opposition ababa no ngabali ngo kwa fako ba ko kasama icharengere ati tuponi ukuko ababachisanga constituents ko ali ma polling station ya mutako ali ma agents but Indoro bare ko abene na group ya white bare abatuka pocha abantu kulya bare ka dango kutubira barubinda manani kane yakwe bati ukese ko kuno so abantu kutira teo sto ya frunganya my elections but ngabalire kaira group ya kuchawama ya wina yana ukasa mangabali achitakava kulya kuri batsanga constituents so bali sa okuyiba bali ibira because bali firo kubika ma agents uma polling station number how do you expect to kwata maliza sasu na mwaipsha ba Mwamba ile nditama find out not mama phone tawa kwete vya kupolisha abantu ma polling stations so kwamba kuna fichonga vyo kufichonga mwali ama polling agents namalizawo kisomaliya mwa nombawo kamuna mwishu bati temukwete manpower yakubika ma polling agents monse olonga libakisanga ni constituencies kumwabo balingira bebaya nabo okuli ama polling stations tatukwete manpower yakwatfolesha baki bayisa kurusaka wonse balajja group bayisa oro chimbira chena barubindana group yabo apa balingira first bashika post motemwa ma election baba kwa abantu charenga turuse kurana cyane nomba immediately from elections bawushe lyashi barabantu nga bali bareka first twasofa kwa yama issues oro nababene bambya abantu abakwatemera ndumu PF timokwali barokulembera omuntu emira ndumu abika Facebook mwakupika after la mwasare ntunguru shiro mwasara ngati nomba bane imwe mwali kwetemera ndushale chitapendi isho mwachitire fine tafyawe inshira mukatale ntunguru shi nomba tamura kwate ntunguru shi mureso corona na yami ama problems this state murande mweli abantu ofyo murusi shire kukaza bali important ukwebe charo chirengerati turuse kukaza makuru kwachitabaleranda bale pera fyama press conference ya urokukula ba mausa mpara wale sonta CP ba mdara wa mausa katuwerere munshirore nende mona kwachi bonze ba PF executive bale fwa ko kubatwara kumapi kwachiri mbyefe bale chitafimo de kutemwa bali banda tati so bale fwa kwa limbyo kubapeperera.
Thank you. I've got my guest. My guest is in the studio. This is how we go about it, like we always do. I'll allow Dr. Sebastian Copeland to answer, and offer his closing remarks. Then I'll reopen the lines for those that wish to say what his contribution should be or what the views are. So let's allow Dr. because he's at a studio and there's a team. People need to go. It's late in the night in Zambia. So I'll allow him to finish first to answer to your questions. Finish, then I'll open the phone lines. Wamunkonge and all those that are calling you answer after Dr. Sebastian Copeland has. Is this my dear sister? Just a minute. If she's the one, maybe she's the only one. We can, okay, you. For all the callers, kindly wait. Dr. Sebastian Copeland answers the questions. Then I'll invite you to ask your questions or contribution after he gives his last remarks. Thank you. Dr. Copeland, you're on the floor.
Thank you, Ambassador. Well, really, there is not a lot to say from the comments, except to appreciate the positive comments that our people have made. Now, I want to say this. When I was not adopted in 2021, I said there is no truth in politics, because I could not expect that the PF would not adopt me to run for a second term, because I'd said to them, I'm here to do only one term. That is a constituency. Chembe district was established on 12th May 2012 by President Sata after I requested him to do that. And President Sata said, I will set it up if only you agree to be the member of parliament. Why did President Sata say that? I had worked with President Michael Sata for 2 years as his permanent secretary in the Ministry without portfolio. So he knew me. He knew what I was able to do. He knew that I could establish a district, I could help establish a constituency that is performing. I got elected in 2016. In 2018, the local government association, they have these competitions. I was not there, Our council chairman was there. I think the conference happened in Lusaka. Now, Chembe was established in 2012. In 2018, I became MP in 2016. And we started working. They announced the fastest growing district in terms of ranking. I recall number 1, if I remember, was Kafiwe. Number 2, the whole country was Chembe. A district 3 years old, growing district, countrywide. Zambians, make your choices, make your decisions. The way we ran Chembe, the way I worked with my councillors, each time I arrived in Chembe, the first people I met, the first people I had dinner with, who I hosted at the guest house were my councillors, 5 of them. We addressed what the issues were. We worked as a team. When we went to CDF, we were a team. We had agreed what projects would run then. So I appreciate those that have said good things. I didn't get the name of the man from Manchester. Thank you very much. You suggested that I should ask and partner up with Makebi. Yes, Makebi, it could be any other person. It could be, what's his name? It could be Brian Mundubile. It could be Ichabaiche. What's his name? Binwa Mpundu. It could be my honorable brother, Given Lubinda. By the way, he's a very good friend of mine. We have serious mutual respect between us. We talk quite a lot. We discuss. The other day we were at a funeral together. We had some very good conversations. So, Professor Kasonso, I appreciate you. I won't say much. I appreciate you. Let me say this. What I have given the people of Zambia in this presentation today is less than 10% what the vision is. The manifesto that I have authored is 356 pages. Zambia has issues. We cannot take shortcuts. We got to have a plan. What I'm offering is not a 10-point plan. I'm giving you a full comprehensive development plan for Zambia. Not for today, not for 2026, not for the next 5 years, it's for the future. That plan has a program for the rural areas. It has a program for the industrialization of rural areas. It was a program for youth development, accelerated youth employment program. It's all there. We are putting up youth farm blocks throughout the country, in all the provinces, where there will be agricultural production by the youth. Within there will be value addition facilities within there. Within, I can tell you, 2-3 years, Zambia will be a net exporter of all agricultural produce. So, Bamwape Musonda from Kabwe, when you are saying come together, yes, we need to come together as opposition. But we need to come together around a vision. We need to come together around a vision, around a direction for the country. It's not around Please. You cannot unite around an individual. You had a UPND alliance. Look at what they have produced. 12% extra poverty in 4 years. Because they united around an individual, not around an idea, not around a vision, not around a direction, not around a plan. Let's not do that again. We are gambling with the future. Poverty is high. Let me tell you, Zambia, where I'm coming from. Ambassador, forgive me. I am a Christian, a professed Christian, an active Catholic. I call myself a person who is very Catholic. When late Paul Tembo, a close friend of mine, came to my house and told me to Sir President Chiluba's third term bid, I said to them, Paul, what you have come to tell me is tantamount to you telling me to leave the Catholic Church. It's not possible. It won't happen. I am Catholic. And as a Catholic, we believe in one thing, truth. That's what I live. That's what I profess. And as a Christian, in a Christian nation, I must behave and act in the manner that Jesus Christ himself acted. I must pursue the mission of Jesus Christ. Why did Jesus Christ come? In Luke chapter 4, verse 18, Jesus Christ said, the Spirit of the Lord is upon me, for he has sent me to proclaim good news to the poor, to lift the poor out of their situation, and to set the captives free. That's my mission. In my entire life, you watch everything that I've done. I joined the YCS, the Young Christian Students Movement, a Catholic movement, where we adopted an ideology, a theology called Option for the Poor. I traveled the country, every corner. I started as provincial secretary in Luapula province when I was at Mwense Secondary School. When I came to UNZA in 1979, I was elected national public secretary. I went around the country, every school, teaching Option for the Poor. That is why in the manifesto, the fundamental philosophy of the People's Party manifesto is citizen economic empowerment as the antidote to poverty. I live what I believe my Christianity tells me. When you look at everything that I've done, I moved a motion in Parliament to start the distribution of free sanitary pads to girls in rural schools. Poor girls were leaving school because they could not afford the protection they required. They could not maintain the dignity, the feminine dignity. I had to be the man on the floor of Parliament moving a motion. After I moved the motion, Vice President Inonge Wina called me to her office. And I was scared. And I can tell you, the week before that, I was called by my party to drop the motion. Long after the motion had been approved by Mr. Speaker. My party called a caucus at Cabinet Office to tell me to withdraw the motion. I said, no, that's not possible. I won't do it. I will not do it because I am contributing. By doing that, I'm contributing to the creation of an army of uneducated mothers. When I went back to Chembe after distributing those pads, I went back the teachers in every school they told me, sir, we are now having 100% school attendance by girls. Today it's a national program. I started that. I had the courage to do it. The vice president, Ngawena, told me, you are a courageous man. You put us to shame. All of us women who were in that parliament, you can ask her, all the women who were in that parliament, we must be ashamed that a man must move that motion when we should have done it. I am a man of option for the poor. And I get into this office that I'm aspiring for. I will fight poverty and have the strategy for it. I'm not coming here to tell you that I'm going to send your children to national service. Is that your biggest problem? I'm not going to come here and tell you we have serious issues in this country. This country, let me tell you, fellow citizens, is broken. Broken badly. If your car has a broken down, if your car is broken down, who do you get to fix it? Do you go to a school of mechanics and get somebody to come and fix your Mercedes? To come and fix your Corolla? You go to a classroom of mechanics who are learning mechanics. You look for experienced hands. You look for a mechanic who has practiced mechanics, who knows how to diagnose a problem and they know how to fix it and they have fixed it before. This is what Coplande has done for this country. I have fixed problems by setting up all these institutions that you can see. Today you go around, you see these things, CEC, Industrial Development Corporation, IDC. IDC I created with Mr. Sata, with President Sata. Because there was a problem, I knew. I prescribed. I'm like a medical doctor. I assess the problem. That is a transition economist. He is an economic doctor, I look at the structure of the economy, I see where it's lacking, and I make the necessary intervention. So, let me say something. Let me review this, fellow Zambians. Forgive me, let me remove this. When President Sata was ill in the UK, but Edgar Lungu who was Minister of Defense and Home Affairs at the time, sent one gentleman. I won't mention his name, but Ambassador Mwamba, you know him. You know who. This gentleman came to my office and said, hey, Mara, Edgar was here. Okay, good. Edgar and I were friends from Unza. We knew each other from Unza. Okay, fine. When? This evening. Where? Blue Now Lodge. Fine. So I went to Blue Now. And I asked what time, 20 hours? 20 hours. I arrived there. He was a minister. Due honor, due respect. He was my senior. He was my friend. That's personal. He was in office. I was there in 1930 to wait for the minister. 20 hours sharp, he arrives. We sat there until 01. he asked me, Sebastian, the situation is looking like this, and it may appear like this thing may fall on me. I want you to help me, because you know how to do these things. You know how to develop policy. You know how to do a campaign strategy. Ambassador, you and I were meeting at my house every other day now, working on the succession of Edgar Lungu. You can confirm that. So, I've been around this space, and I'm happy and humble that God has given me this opportunity to contribute to the country I love so much. I want to contribute one more time. I said to you, Zambians, I left politics after I was not adopted. UPND approached me so that they could adopt me. I said, I don't do things like that. I don't want to say who I sent. I'm sure he's watching this program, he's laughing. And his principal who sent me spoke to me on phone. And I said, no, I can't do it. I was in the ruling party. I cannot jump the next day to an opposition party simply because I've not been adopted. I have not, I don't know what your policies are. Whatever you have talked about, I don't agree. So I can't join you. Many of you may remember, I had an interview on Prime TV. And this young interviewer asked me, oh, if UPND gave you a job, would you accept? You remember my answer? I said, no. One, is too late. Two, even if I accepted, they would fire me 2 days later. Because we don't agree. We don't see things the same way. So, you see, this thing is not about just coming together. What are you coming together about? What are you coming together to achieve? What is the agenda do you have for Zambia? Are we going to sit down and look, all of us as opposition, present our agenda, present our visions, and agree on one vision, and then say, okay, we agree on this vision, let us choose amongst us who is best placed to drive this vision for the people of Zambia. I'm willing to sit around the table to discuss that. But not to sit around the table to discuss about uniting. Uniting for, they united around UPND. Look where we are. They have all run away from UPND. Those who united with UPND. Because they did not believe in what UPND believed in. They joined UPND, so-called UPND alliance, simply because they believed that UPND was the best place to win. So, you want to be part of the winners. Yes, it's a good idea. So you win, and then what? You destroy the country. You have Bill 7. You have Mingalato everywhere. So, let us agree as Zambians. Let me tell you why I came back. Should Zambians give me the opportunity? I have come back. I'm running, I want to run for president. I am 66. I want to run for president. I'm turning 67 on 22nd April, by the way. So please send me happy birthday messages on 22nd April. I can tell you, I want to partner with somebody that I can transfer my experience to for 5 years. Within 5 years, I think I can build somebody. and give them the knowledge, give them the institutional. For 35 years, since 7th November 1991, I have been thinking of how best to run this country. That has been my job. I was Levi Mwanawasa's policy machine. That's what I was. I was President Levi Mwanawasa's policy machine. Now tell me, I would not be exaggerating. Many Zambians have said to me, Mwanawasa was the best president. Oh, really? I can tell you, I contributed to that process. I contributed to that process. I worked with President Levi Mwanawasa from 1991 when I was his campaign manager in Chifubu constituency. Remember, he was vice president of MMD. So he was campaigning the whole country. At that time, we had no running mate clause. So he needed to have a constituency. So he was running as member of parliament for Chifubu in Ndola. But he was vice president of the party, so he had to campaign the whole country. I was the Levi Mwanawasa of Chifubu constituency. In fact, when I was running as MP in 2016, some people remember me in Chifubu said, come and stand in Chifubu. Because that's where my political roots are. That's where I started the journey. I worked with President Mwanawasa up to the last day in office. On the day he was leaving for Egypt, I think it was 28 June. On the day he was leaving for Egypt, he delivered the final speech to the Catholic bishops of Africa. I had written that last speech for him. And I was at that cathedral of the Child Jesus. Many remember that speech. Many remember that speech. To many, that was the best speech. Because I can tell you today, let me confess, many people said that that speech was President Mwanawasa saying bye. How did he know he was going to die? I wrote the speech and he read it word for word. I don't know. That speech made me say, the Spirit works. The Spirit works. How the Spirit got into me to write a bye-bye speech for Levi Mwanawasa, I don't know. Afterwards, I read it. At his first memorial, the late First Lady Maureen Mwanawasa called me and said, Wako Plande, we have put your last speech in the Daily Mail, full speech verbatim. We have put it. Thank you very much for what you did. And indeed it was in the Zambia Daily Mail, published. The nation has the tools to use. Like I said, when something is broken, you need experienced hands. You have them. This is what I'm offering. This is what I'm offering. I have come here to respond to the needs of the country, to respond to the needs of my people. I have not come here to make myself rich, to make myself famous. I am famous enough. I represented Zambia at the Africa, Caribbean, and Pacific European Union Joint Parliamentary Assembly the whole time I was in Parliament. I was Zambia's representative to the European Parliament. I debated in that house in Brussels. I've had the exposure. All I want to do is transfer it. 5 years is what I'm looking for, so that I can transfer it. You don't want another time. Can you imagine, from one inexperienced president like we had, this is what we have got. Then you bring another one from some consulting company, from some law firm, from somewhere, to become president again, to just exacerbate. This country is off the rails. I want to put it back on the rails and hand over after 5 years to somebody that I will have worked with. It's for the good of this country. Use the best hands that you have. Unfortunately, there's only one, but the other one is up here. God has his way. Thank you, Zambia. Now you have it. Look for 356 pages of a vision for Zambia, a development plan for Zambia that cannot be.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, to our dear viewers, we're hosting Dr. Sebastian Copeland. Don't go yet, but we'll release Dr. Sebastian Copeland. There is offering his experience, his leadership skills, his massive policy approach to institutions, and he recognizes Zambia is off the rails. Zambia is broken. He says he wants to be president for only 5 years. And he says he wants a running mate who he can groom, with all his 35 years of local and international experience to be part of it. So we will release Dr. Sebastian Copeland. If you have a word or say, join me now and let me hear your views. If you have any questions, Dr. Sebastian Copeland will be listening in, but we'll release him because we have a team at the studio that has to rest and that has to go, and it's not safe this time. But you and I have more minutes to speak here on social media. And be assured that I'll be with Dr. Sebastian Copeland on the phone. He might need to answer you. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from. Hello, caller.
Hello.
Yes, caller. Make your contributions.
Thank you very much, Mwamba. Otherwise, because the pronouncement of our honorable president of our people. But I think very quite rich academics and stuff like that. I think you have a experience, and he can be a suitable president for a land. But can I say, Mwamba, never got the got you. I'm aware to that one certain things kusungira tekumuchimalira wambokushita implement olufyalalanga abamwambana alalanda fimba chishenga mwalansunisako. I think in Tungushesu, our leaders of the Republic of Zambia, Tabeshi, they offer abantu balek come on a bunch of Malay Kabila. That's why we arrest the Ofefi, but the one that you went to Mushi, then Pamo. Now, in Econaika Mushukas and Kondemi Tumina, to Aliquato to Evatama cooperatives. And a cooperative will moment to pocket Umufundo for my members. Umufundonga Waisa, Mapela, Ama members, Bekabeko, Imwe. Mufundo ushale mbeshako mufundo munani kuli mu cooperative takapokeko na mvefimo iyo ine mukumona kwandi ndemona kwati ayama political parties. That's why afulile ma cooperatives, then ama members abo bali mu cooperative yo muleta tama amanji political parties eba lesta benefit. That's why chilicha shupa ukuti mustashani mwikale pamo chamuntu nakwata interest senu tuna muli cooperative ndi amulirya o ine tujoin na cooperative tusanganye meaning tolo ngasanga because some leaders abeshi bafi wefuta kwete ntungulushya bena kapwepwe abena nkumbula abena bamama bandi bamama chula chikamoneka ngati chitupite muli ugugu wafye mungu andi chindo cho balela bebe bitu cho balela bachakulukwe bati balangulukira kwa abantu abantu n'abachula abantu economy n'ayitula because bali mu opposition n'ababene ba UPND abali mu government n'abene they are also willing to say tuleva okusaving abantu they also want to save the people of actually Zambia n'abene bali okumfira abantu ulose now iya kuisha nye ya each and every time otule mfuapo please ikata nini can you actually unify yourself can you choose just one leader to to become actually the president, and it is proving to be so difficult. And you've been surprised when you find that the UPND government has said, no, we don't want to have any other political parties to allow what affair in the UPND government. Therefore, you're not going to go anywhere. To political party and stuff like that. And then set up international communities to say democracy we have. Look how these opposition leaders, the way they were treating actually the people. It's if not what the people conga Mwamba, Trevor Conga Munduvile, Trevor Conga Minister Makebi Zulu, Trevor Conga other political parties, KPF, and you guys, you are phenomenal, you are good. You can every time let's separate the government and as actually a citizen. And you are giving the burden. If we are citizen, which you solve a problem, how much they create men to move? Because the Imam issue if you think to such a contention, the might solve a problem at a quab. But Male from Malechta, but literally move. No, enough is enough. We can't have these actually political parties, and you are stressing people, Amazonians. Let's actually do that. Let's just ban this thing. But in the hands of one person, how is it possible that a political party with so much stress, with so many people, one person, one individual, political movement? How is that possible in the Republic in this such a generation? If it is also possible that one person or the political party at rank, it is also possible that all political parties can be banned.
My brother, wind up quickly your thoughts. Wind up your thoughts. There are so many people that want to contribute.
What can stop? Because
there are so many people that want to contribute. We've had the full program. Let others that wish to speak also speak. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
Hello, Mwamba Mwabombeni.
Iyo Mwabombeni mkwai.
Yeah. Bye, doctor.
Bale umfamwisa kamana.
I really want him to at least get also my point of view. Anyway, Mwamba, kambato teleko ba doctor na batotela sana. Yeah. First of all, I would like to thank the Dr. Benyabo for having given a prehistory on some of the major issues that have been dormant and may be overlooked by our leaders. Bamwamba, history works in line with present. Yeah. And we learn more from yesterday than today. Yeah. Number, if our leaders aren't able to reflect from their shadows, it means that the country is just narrowing even further to the point that all what has been achieved by Mwamba in 64 years shall just remain a story to tell. Mwamba Zambia is on the battlefield. Yeah. Battlefield, if in that battlefield, and the battle, to my disappointment, is within the biggest opposition party of Mwamba. I'm not ashamed to mention the PF. As a concerned citizen, I'm expressing my disappointment so much that I'm wondering whether if anything tangible on this time, on this line of thinking, will come up. Bamwamba, we tend to forget that 20 million people depend on our leaders. Valesa each of us to be killer to each of us to pay them for issues to go at Chile to take. batusambirisha amano yabo yaliyo baba pera ya bakwe batabana bali abalekula na bena basambirire kwa jamano bakesekula nabo bakatwalire ku bana babo efutana, you know, so that ababana could grow, you know, with dignity and share the same ideology. Nomba tapadi silechti kaba mwamba. You know, icho ningalanda fechakwe bati. Ababantu na bafulungana sana ba mwamba. Hello, I even agree kuchaba ichi. Bali landa ukwebati. Let's wipe off all the old leaders and bring in our political manyanto. So if you land delay bakumplande nagalande ifikankala sana, we need somebody with a completely different ideas from Bonse. Balelu afimkondo. Ichalo chilikuwa kadimo zange ilikuwa kadimo hili kabili. Kuti tuwaifu tulatwalanda ati zam ero kwa wana pia. So kudi ba zam kwa wana ba pia. Efo ili nomba Zambia because they are just fighting among themselves.
Thank you very much. For those that wish to call, we are Dr. Sebastian Copeland. If you have any thoughts, this is a time for you to call and contribute. Is listening, but when you host people we host people in a studio, we have to allow our team to safely go back home. So we have to end the program earlier. But for social media, you can continue to speak and contribute. So I'll take a few last callers before I wind up. Many of you want us to discuss PF issues, expulsion. There'll be a day. The issues of PF never end. We understand the importance of PF to the opposition and what is happening in the PF. But this week we have various guests that we will be hosting. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
Hello, Ambassador.
After the program, so landeni po so that we can accommodate more views and we can let then we can close.
Ambassador, inecho ningaranda bofe chimbi. Abama opposition ngaba nifaya okubombana ba PF. Ba PF bafune bale yishiba. Ba opposition ngaba kyachita appreciate ba PF. Kechi ba bombe na beno. Because ofuna arangire. Abena Zambia ekwewa chimuna ndo kwa PF ya kwata ma structure. Zambia yonke. Abantu bali mona ife PF ya tekere. Nama mistakes yakwe. So abantu bali kwatefiriri yakwe bati. Kwa PF nga chakwe bati. Bakava kuma mistakes arabapangire. Bali kwetete election taroko chaliyeya. That's why nesubirwa abantu bali punjira nguli warungwato. Ale werera bonomba nekire mpapusha. Aba opposition bambina bakwata bena idea. Yo kana shiningisho kweba chabantu. Bali chitaka lete PF. Nomba bena ba opposition wale taking advantage kwa chabantu abena Zambia. Na baba fe desperate ya parasti ya kweba cho. Itiba mu vote pe ori wonso tabachi. Kubalera njira ba PF. Bali ishwa no kuba pere na ma mistakes if ya kadalism na fimbi so lo muntu liko ku PF connected na PF. Na yeshwa tinangutoa musala. Aisa nefya new but no kwa aliambira na ishiwe charo kuchwesha muishira democracy na fimbi vya shara nomba bena ba small opposition bale imona na bokwati ba PF so apa pene ba Mwamba vesti kwa PF tufreto aikara sana kwanisho kutontonganya tule bura abantu abashitwatiri omuchinji chiko tule itati kumbe na bene mwamona bambi ba opposition ngabakano kwebati tubombe nabo oro twakonkefire fo abena Zambia kuti batusala nombanga chako batatire konkefire fo abena Zambia tule fo konkefire fo aba small opposition abena Zambia kutukana Wamwana ko pene pali problem mwafire sangwa cho ukasama bashani bayimika abantu babo bali firo okusumina okwebati bali firo okusta appreciate PF kwa fe yabo mbere basimo opposition nga bali sta appreciate PF ofo yabo mbere bambite kibabe na mwaranzi kimwa mufo fe limbi ajuko ale supporter PF limbi ajuko ale baba PF na kunyaba pene pamulabasa ukuba pera my ideas o balefye mule chitamu party imwe chiteni pe party shatara mwanako small opposition party kuchita encourage ba PF from social media elio icharo tulimo ba mwambacho ningamye bako muli business ya somewhere new eyo muntu onse afuire abana yokeya especially ngani kuri ba PF na kuisa business ya mingarato na shikwata sana ndarama so tumule mono muntu ale samuko paramina kuli imwe kanshi ale fo achite create ngarato pakwa turo ngarato ka mupere mpia semu mucharonga mwaba pride anko kuingira nshota waingira bwino charo chirona kaso pali ino nshita atkwataka stick makami ngarato so tufure po tuikalire tuwabura ilya ukwikatana kuroko twakwata twakupera omuchinshi twaikachanisha na abantu balya abatuchetekere twabasunga bwino pantu mingarato echinshiteri onse kutiba kuchicha mwamwana so ba PF bafure babasana very extra careful no kubare pera statement bafure pamone ka statement tumwafuna wenani mungarato elio ba mwamba sometimes ba mwamba babantu mule babika ko punish private negligence ya yukasa mataya wemi mule kere show kurusa ufire warandwa panto mataturandire ko pamule kere shawa yukasa ma kechisuma awe kubantu bayukasa ma tufure twaranda na bera munshire isuma na nguni abo bena bashire rumburu ba opposition leader because you know itanga warumburu omuntu tyo mupata so bachitire bali rufyanya tete bali abashe inganda ya no koma bashafe chibi open na beshi bokwe batamane baz bonse bakabwara olo balechetekero kwe bati finishara abanyita awo negligence hivi teisumawe because abantu bakukasa manaba bafurwa bale for celebration bali vote wino nomba bafiro okubasungira ali amavoti so bafuire babwerera ko ba opposition bonse ndeba romba alamara ngozi ngayapita mukaye kukasama mukaye rombo bwerero ukurombo bwerero mukaye fukama ko bantu kwafe mwafiriro okuchita protect ama votes yabo napera bamwa.
Thank you very much. Hello caller, please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
My name is Nancy.
Yes, my dear sister, make your contributions.
Firstly, it's always a pleasure to listen to Dr. Koplande. His vast experience, it's something that's it's very interesting to listen to, and it gives an insight to what kind of things that we need for the country and the kind of ideas that people have for this country which can make it great. I understand him saying, you know, we need somebody with experience and we can't be experimenting. So he would only want 5 years and then he groomed someone to take over from him. I think it's a valid point, but then without taking away from his experience and his knowledge, it's not a given that if you are the only one who can groom others. But when you have very good ideas, it's important, especially in the situation we're in now, the opposition parties come together with many of them have different manifestos, but there are common points. So as they discuss to get into an alliance that can defeat the current government, there's going to be need to iron out these issues of which parts of our manifestos are we going to implement and in what order. Then coming to the previous caller, I think it is not, I've been wondering why there's so much division amongst the opposition leaders, each one wanting to lead, not just for PF, but for others also who do not want to work with others. They want to be the ones to lead. People are aware that majority of the population want a change of government. And they know that if whichever candidate the opposition, a united opposition picks, is assured of being president. So now it's like the inherent greed in human beings is what is surfacing now, with everyone thinking this is my chance to become a president. Now, when we have people like Wamukonge who start to think like it's only PF which should produce the leader for the alliance, I think that's a dangerous thought, and it may be what drives other opportunities away. You can have the structures, yes, but PF right now does not have, it's not a party that can stand in the election. We all know what's going on. So you cannot start to become arrogant and throw others away to say we are the ones with the structures. Where are you going to take those structures if you don't have a party to stand on? And when you want to partner with others, you have to make a meaningful partnership. You have to respect your partners. So you do not come out like you are the only important ones. Because if they are the only important ones, then they should form a new party, or they should stand as PF on 13th August, which we know is not going to happen. So the PF needs all the other opposition leaders. So let's give importance to every opposition party that we're going to get an alliance into. Let's respect each other and give each other equal importance. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you very much. Let's take I think this is our brother from Chingola. Caller, please tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
Yeah, I'm Boniface from Chingola.
And it's our Boniface Landenipo. Thank you.
Yes. Mwamba, Boniface wa kopala ndinabala ndezi ndisa ndero kaito atapio kwa abali kwa government nature chini kwa chana. Ndero cho inendefa yoku kwa kubena. Kana mwana kutuko wa timu United. Bonse wa dobe kwa tibale fisabina bale wa United. Say unite. But at the same time, but you kunyanda abana bo pamandasa. If mwanzo wa kutokola bafukapona bena balanda. Ingi namuna ushwa fingi chafwa ibano kichefya. Ndio bamwamba mwa ichefya ko. Oziri yumuntu ngai chefya. Aba munya bantu. Muntu ngai tutumira aba munya bantu. Socho kile mwana cha kutira bali nushita. Kaifo fwe bali wa support wa PF fwe bali PF ya shara tutonzi. Cheka kwa United kuno kwa bonse tapali uchepele tapali ukulire. Nyo kuno kwa tio play karapamo. Wambo kupera respect. Because ever today mwana kwa compare. Bali bombe sio bacharo. Ushe kuti mwante mwa compare. Ushwale. Ebo mwalipanga political party. Aba neno wa kuita mastructure na mastructure yeno yonse pamo. Maisa ikala pamo. Maisa lugula bina zante because chimza kupire kutira walanto kwa tushimira mtambo nango no wako upopo apate monoko tulea mtansho ko tulea mwaisa wa mcharo cheso one party state na mwapusu mune lilile pero mwaisa wa one party state kesa shikobisa ipokolo la which means la imwe fo mwaleru shoko wa president na mwazo mwaleru shoko wa kushusha kesa shoko wa kushusha namba kutichawa mana ngwa kwa party mwa asumino kwa asumina ngaine ingota political party tie tukombele chapamo tuonje political party because na kutisha wa PF yes political iko ina ikwata marias lero apana kai kwa boku kana ngelo tuleko na kwa president weso boku na vena back president wa given no suspension na yonga ya fo ala tachimone ka kuno mwana kurushi kale banshi eko venga kwacha kwa kwata fe meeting suspension makwata fe meeting suspension wala pasabanga lero kutisbalanda ati ingwe ile kubosa taisuma iyo ishire kwa kuba kufuna mukano leisa ekona aba kushobora mutuntu waisa mukwiba na waisa mutelevisions efyembo ipiwo bateka vya timbo nga yebo sajishire fo kuso aho bonse bale mtsonte bale bibo ko bati letita werere kunwa muwere lokore ko bati tungu chocho kwa nashia apa ndo aitika rungu apa ndo Michael Tukasa ama spata masa speech tayari hiyo kachakutira bale kasa speech abantu chenga bashire ba bakuteka PF ngada yatekere kwao bamauza babamfya nabagire bamaiko tibanani ba baitikalungu balisa ababwesha kushenga chakinga nimwewe bali mfya tiku bamauza bakatwali babwesha angutwalishira ikala papo bakatwaikere papo so mutima kwati uko so bakompara the trefu atonso kuru bali ulwenu ngachakutira timwa bombera pamone ntungushi kuba ichefya bakutana imwa bombera pamone kono kwa chachine batwale charo tespanta shire Mwamba chintu chimoto na tindave UPN banga bafunye ekintu okira munya kwati kwangana wali monako pa social media kuli aba ECZ ba ECZ balast ba sai batize luma if you remember before by kunoma wali mwene pali cyber apali P7 abantu bakana because what I know what by UPN tabakonga constitution bana ibombera vipa byabo constitution bali iposa kale. Are you telling me that aba ECZ bala kuba tuli fupi enough you ya repisha register sana pa presidential level ulete kuba tika to ita look out that I can say bomba kumtanshi because what I know you can bani wa craft na edi ba comparate basuke atotera.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Let me take three callers. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
My name is Uncle Jay.
Uncle Jay, make your contribution, sir.
Thank you very much. Dr. Copeland has actually, explained a lot of things. Indeed, Zambia has a lot of leaders, and Bob Copeland is one person that, you can look at his track record and you're able to trace the work that he's done. His experience is indeed next to none. My call to Dr. Copeland, being, having been in politics for, a long time, indeed, actually, one of the things I do is I really sympathize with the opposition because what President Hakainde Hichilema did.
Have we lost you, my brother? Hello, you're cutting. Hello? Please tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
Nebo Black.
But Black Landenipo. Okay. Yo baleo umfwa na baya but baleo umfwa motoka imkwai.
Yeah, thank you so much. Always a great CV with great experience. So number one day Emmanuel Mwamba, Zambia is at war, and we all know what the enemy is. So ngafilafine bakopland laba kwata manifesto isuma sana. Ero manifesto to ibika site. Torres bankondo. Concept yaro kulinkonda development takuba natapali peace. Zambians need to unite. The opposition need to unite as well. To alikwata former president turashika na numba. Turaragishe pali ifabele mwema lijazi. Tusale po. Abakesa pishe nkondwe. Na totera mkwai.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Tell me before we close, quickly. Thank you. I still have a lot of calls, but okay. What are we expecting this week? Tomorrow, we are hosting John Sangwa, State Council John Sangwa. We have resumed our broadcast of presidential candidates, and tomorrow we are hosting Mr. John Sangwa. Look forward to this broadcast. I want to take the last 2-3 callers before I leave. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from. Hello, caller. Hello, caller, make your contributions. Uh-oh. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
My name is Uncle Jay. I've come back again.
Yes, Uncle Jay, make your contributions. Yeah, wind up.
Thank you very much. I want to quickly commend Dr. Copeland for what he's put out today. Indeed, that is great work. His track record is there to see for all of us. I wanted to respond to some people that are saying, no, PF is trying to impose itself. Let us understand one big thing. What Hakainde Hichilema did to PF, the wound that he inflicted on PF is so huge. And it is what has actually made the challenge that we are facing as political parties, especially the opposition. PF being the biggest political party, all these other parties can only function right and thrive when the main opposition political party is standing, all right, as a anchor. The problem that we are facing today, especially these other small political parties, I hate some people to say, no, people should not step on other people's toes and things like that. No. A political party must earn their love from the people. They must wait for their popularity. That's how it works. So PF did so much in this area. This is why they are still loved today. They have the largest following today. Why? Because they earned it. Without earning that, you cannot. And it would be very unfair to put away and put off PF and be brought to a place where, PF becomes a small party that should just be a 50-50. I don't think that would be fair. We know what happened, for example, in Chawama. We see what happened in Kasama. That speaks volumes about the position of PF. What needs to happen right now is let the opposition build themselves around PF, a give and take, kind of a situation. And let us have a united front that is going to face this cruel leader that we have in the country. Otherwise, this year is not so difficult in August. It is possible we can, the opposition can actually win if only they can unite. But do not, I'm repeating this, do not disqualify PF. PF is an ideology that Michael Sata established and Edgar Lungu continued to build on it. And it is in the hearts of people. And people are emotionally attached to PF. So you can never do away with it. All these other political parties should find a way of knitting around PF so that we can have victory in August. I thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Dear viewers, we'll meet tomorrow when we host John Sangwa, State Council, Movement for National Renewal. Where is he? How far is he gone with his projections? What, since we last met him, what has he done for his organization, and how are his preparations for 2026? Is he forming a political party? Listen to John Sangwa tomorrow. Today, we're privileged to host Dr. Sebastian Copeland, who has outlined what he can do for this country. God bless you, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Ngakale yakumamizi yose yakuona zemwachita. Ngakale yakumamizi yose yakuona zemwachita. Tikungoti zikomo, zikomo, zikomo. Tikungoti zikomo, zikomo, zikomo. Mulimo ilangashika, muntu mwana bonse wakateka. Pandamano kuli mwana wasa. Na girl child education shatala mona boa womba pwetu umuntu shilateka poneshalo imilimo sofilwa bateka esho kupakwanisho kubomba kopula ndeni mwana wa chalo nechichetekero chena nachokwata sikuti ndikuzimvesaya izioneka zemwachita sikuti ndikuzimvesaya izioneka zemwachita ngakale yakumamizi yose yakuona zemwachita
Other victims explained that they have been accommodated by Good Samaritans despite their houses being overcrowded. This brought in the immediate response from Chamber Member of Parliament, Dr. Sebastian Kopulande, and the Disaster Management and Mitigation Unit, who brought in a number of assorted relief materials for the affected houses.
Kopulande ni mwana wa pachembe, Sizeka hizo ni mwana wa chalo. Samankala aziona eka, ana mutima wotanizavina. Zinjito zake sizisohayai, kuchembe yuko wana mangapiji. Disaster Management Unit, disabled yet very able. Apitirize ndizinjito zake, mwina mabanga tifake pena. Sikuti ndikuzimvesaya izioneka zemwachi. Sikuti ndikuzimvesaya izioneka zemwachita. Sikuti ndikuzimvesaya izioneka zemwachita. Ngakale yakumamizi yose yakuona zemwachita. Ngakale yakumamizi yose yakuona zemwachita. Tikungoti zikomo, zikomo, zikomo. Tikungoti zikomo, zikomo, zikomo. Imibili moshile ilangashika, muntu mwana bonse wakateka. Pandamano kuli mwana wasa, na girl child education. Shatala mona boa wumba pwetu. Umuntu shirateka poneshalo, imilimo shofilwa abateka, eshokupa neshokubomba. Kopulande ni mwana wa chalo, nechichetekero chena nachokwata. Sikuti ndikuzimvesaya izioneka zemwachita. Sikuti ndikuzimvesaya izioneka zemwachita. Ngakale yakumamizi yose yakuona zemwachita.
Other victims explained that they have been accommodated by Good Samaritans despite their houses being overcrowded. This brought in the immediate response from Chamber Member of Parliament, Dr. Sebastian Kopulande, and the Disaster Management and Mitigation Unit, who brought in a number of assorted relief materials for the affected houses.
Kopulande ni mwana wa pachembe, Sizeka hizo ni mwana wa chalo. Samankala aziona eka, ana mutima wotanizavina. Zinjito zake sizisohayai, kuchembe yuko wana mangapiji. Disaster Management Unit, disabled yet very able. Apitirize ndizinjito zake, mwina mabanga tifake pena. Sikuti ndikuzi